Hey everyone, so I have 3 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, get this thing kicked off. First and foremost, welcome everyone to Uplevel's 2.2 release webinar. If you don't already know me, my name's Robin Livesay. I'm the lead support engineer over at Uplevel. Just before I get into everything, I wanted to mention we are going to record this session. A couple of people have asked that, so don't worry, we're recording it. We will send out a link later on after the webinar for you to send out to anyone that may not have been able to make it, so don't worry about that. Also, today we're going to go over the release 2.2, everything that it entails, how to use it, really everything that you'll need to know. We're going to try to keep it down to 20 minutes, so to leave time for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, I just please ask that you go ahead and put them in the chat window of the GoToMeeting here, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can at the end, but just to save time during the presentation, that would be amazing. All right, so a little agenda for today. First and foremost, we're going to go over the release content, everything that it entails, an overview of Uplevel's current and new security tactics, how to configure domain filtering, known issues, selling support, and up-and-coming events, obviously followed by a Q&A session. So what the release entails, this is obviously 2.2. Oh, my slides aren't working for y'all. I'm just now noticing. Okay, so what this release entails is domain filtering or content filtering, also known as increased firewall attack profile updates, SMB2 enablement, as well as other configurations simplifications. Ooh. Okay, so the Uplevel gateway always comes configured with a stateful firewall. It's port blocking, which is designed to prevent unsolicited traffic from coming into the network. This is the first line of defense for customers to prevent any unwanted traffic. The deep packet inspection firewall is an additional option that allows you to go in and inspect all in and outbound traffic for malicious content. This ensures that even requested data is clean and does not contain malicious content that users are going and accessing. These attack profiles will now, as of this update, be updated nightly with the new 2.2 release firmware. So make sure that every change and attack is accounted for on an ongoing basis. The newest edition of domain filtering allows you to go in and easily and simply apply domain or content filtering rules right out of the GUI. This means blocking employees from reaching known bad sites or inappropriate content and keeping networks safe. Security groups are also allowed for you to partition off resources on the network to prevent other employees from getting to sensitive data within the network. Separating the guest Wi-Fi outside of the firewall ensures that no guests are actually accessing corporate documents from the parking lot, say. So it's another line of defense to keep that guest Wi-Fi completely separate. Secure VPN connections allow for employees to get back into the network or securely RDP to access applications or documents when away, and eliminating any previous or traditional RDP vulnerabilities. The 1 terabyte encrypted NAS with cloud and local backups ensures the mission critical data is protected against ransom, viruses, or disasters. This now includes the SMB2 enablement to ensure further protection of map drives and their data, right? So those are all enhanced security features. So now onto the large topic of domain filtering, how it works, and whenever users attempt to access sites, the DNS server returns an IP address of that desired site. In this case, where the site is deemed as blocked, the DNS server will not return an IP address and instead will present the following blocked page at the top. Access keys can also be used to override these blocks for employees who may work on specific projects and have to have access to these otherwise blocked sites for a short or indefinite period of time. Domain filtering is important to limit employees' access to distractions and other unwanted sites. This is a very easy and effective way to mitigate any potential risk associated with employee surfing or embedded malware attacks, and most importantly, is incredibly easy to explain to customers the benefits and use cases of preventing employees from getting to unwanted sites. DNS filtering also allows a much higher throughput than traditional or other DPI, meaning that you can use them both separately and together to have ample security of the network. To configure domain filtering, you'll want to proceed to the Domain Filtering tab located at the top of the firewall option. This will allow you to enable via the checkbox located at the top of the screen. From there, you can go in and specify the entire blocked category from the predefined list, input specific domains to be blacklisted or domains to be whitelisted. These rules can then apply to the groups that are checked at the bottom section, designated as filter groups. This means that all of the IP addresses within those groups will have the specific rules set here. The keys option allows for you to go in and create permanent access keys to grant specific employees the ability to override denials at any time permanently. You can also generate temporary passwords at any time that will automatically expire in 1 week. You can see here you can go in and select from a large list of categories, those that you may want to automatically block, or you can also go in and create a specific list of domains separated by commas, as you'll see there, where you can then select save, and then all of those rules will then be applied to those groups mentioned at the bottom. Just under the Enable Domain Filtering option is the ability to view statistics. Here you can see the number of domain requests at the top for the top blocked and top allowed sites. These statistics are for the entire network rather than on a per device basis. However, it allows you to present to the customers where the majority of their employees are frequenting and who or which top sites are more often than not getting blocked. So on to some known issues with DNS filtering. The first include a couple of phone issues where the phone may use LTE backup when the Wi-Fi DNS appears to have failed. This is just dependent on the iOS, and it may mean that employees are still able to get onto undefined or unintended sites that should have otherwise been blocked. The other issue with phones is that some applications actually use IP addressing rather than DNS. This means that applications like the Facebook app, for instance, will actually directly connect to the IP address and completely bypass DNS lookups, even on Wi-Fi. So this is completely dependent on the application and how they're currently configured or just configured. The last is device caching. So this is actually where the device or application have cached the DNS lookup. So recently added rules may take a couple of days before the DNS cache expires and the DNS filtering actually kicks in. All of these are known issues and are actually common along all DNS filtering sites or services. So just keep that in mind whenever you're deploying to a customer where you may see a couple of issues on site. So some logistics about DNS filtering. First of all, Uplevel's DNS filtering is a cloud-based, meaning it's incredibly scalable and easy to deploy. We have an integrated GUI, as you just saw, with categories and sites and available statistics. But the most important of these is the fact that you can also redirect individual devices to the desired DNS server and have the same rules applied to employees even when they're off-site using company equipment. So or if you have specific questions about that, I can go into more detail on a one-on-one basis, but it allows for you to manage employee equipment owned by the company, even when they're off-site, to ensure that they're still not going to known malware sites or anything along those lines. The other thing to note is we actually offer pricing and small seat groups for these small businesses. So pricing kind of designed for this specific category. If you're using OpenDNS or another domain filtering site, no problem. That's okay. We can still easily point the network to those services using either the pre-canned dropdown for domain servers or input custom DNS servers IPs there. However, obviously the GUI isn't integrated with other third-party DNS filtering options. A few other changes that have happened with this new 2.2 update is the creation of groups and allocation of resources. So if you're familiar with the previous releases, you'll notice that it's slightly different. You'll simply now go to create a new group, still using the add group button down at the bottom. However, to allocate resources, you'll now navigate over to their respective tabs on the left-hand pane to assign them their resources using those drop-down menus. The hope in this is that we reduce any confusion regarding how to create groups versus how to edit them. So now to both create groups, allocate resources, and edit those resources after the fact are all done using the tabs on the left. So traditionally, where there was a Wi-Fi and a storage and an Ethernet option in that add group button, you'll now just go to their respective tabs on the left. The other change is in the customer and site view under site settings. This is now combined into one section. However, all the same information is present. Note both customer and site configurations appear side by side. So just keep that in mind. They are kind of combined together, but all of the same information is present. The upgrading process is fully underway, so you can tell whether or not you have already been upgraded to the latest release by going to the site settings page and looking at the software version. Note that 2.2 includes this domain filtering, so you're looking to see whether or not it says 2.2. This will indicate that you have been upgraded, so everything is running smoothly. Keep in mind the gateway will need to be powered on and connected up to the internet to pull down the new firmware. It'll take about 30 minutes. So if it's not been online, go ahead and plug it in, let it do its firmware upgrade, and then you should see that new software version. If you have not been upgraded yet, keep an eye out on your email, letting you know when your specific upgrade has been scheduled. We'll let you know ahead of time when it's been scheduled for, and then you'll get a completion email after the fact when it is complete. These are done in stages, so don't panic if you haven't gotten any emails yet. It's coming your way. If you have any questions specifically regarding upgrading or the process, don't hesitate to reach out to support. We're here to help.